Hi everyone, it's Dave, and today I want to talk about history, the concept of history, what it means and how responsible we need to be for shaping our own history. We are living at the moment, in my opinion, at a historical inflection point, the most crucial period in all of human history. One whereby, if things go the wrong way, the tyranny that will ensue will be permanent. Previous generations have been enslaved by guns and bullets. We're enslaved by technology, surveillance and information. And once that properly takes root, in my opinion, that will be impossible to escape from and impossible to emerge into a world where freedom and truth are treasured. This presents a problem for us, a huge problem, but also an opportunity. But first of all, are enough of us aware that we are the ones responsible for shaping our own history? If we do indeed lose this battle, everything that's been done so far by anyone who's been trying to fly the flag for freedom, for freedoms, for truth, for basic human decency, for the right to choose, well, all the work that will have been done by those millions of people will be erased. The responsibility therefore is huge. But do we have a situation whereby too many people don't understand the very, very basic concept that whilst all we have at the moment is the present moment, we are also living through history, a momentous historical period. Now, of course, more is asked of some generations than others. Our generation is being asked a huge question. Previous generations, possibly, for example, let's use the baby boomer generation, less was asked of them. Obviously, many of them are still alive now, so they can choose whether they want to take that responsibility, having lived through decades of good times. But our generation now, younger people, are we conscious enough of our history, enough of us? Are we conscious enough of our own history? Are we conscious enough of history that's close to home, of certain events that have taken place? Can we spot totalitarianism when it rocks up on our shores? Can we spot the signs of tyranny? Do enough people have that perspective? Yes, of course, history is taught in schools, but like so much else that's taught in schools, it's a sanitised version, possibly, of what whoever is pulling the strings wants the population to know. It is incumbent, therefore, on enough individuals being curious, maybe travelling to places. I've been to Auschwitz twice. I've been to many cities in Eastern Europe, obviously, that were under the yoke of communism. And I've gained a real perspective. I'm by no means a historian or an expert in history. Of course I'm not. But I feel like I've got a perspective. Read some books, watched some documentaries. Looking back over the last few years, it's always been in the back of my mind. Before all this started, the wholesale and unprecedented robbery of freedoms and destruction of economy, etc., etc. It's always been in the back of my mind that in my lifetime we're going to be asked a serious question. When you ally that to a perception that I had of a society that wasn't in a good state, that was very, very sick, selfish, ignorant, naive, partly due to the fact that seemingly so many people did not have that perspective on history. It was always in the back of my mind. A question was going to be asked of us, and here it is. It is a cliche that history repeats. Or as Mark Twain says, it doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. Now, the rhymes at the moment are chilling. The rhyme is ringing loud and clear. There are disturbing parallels to other periods, recent periods in European history. Who can see that is the question. Who has got the all-round awareness some level of knowledge to spot tyranny as it arrives on these shores in the United Kingdom, to spot a descent into the early to mid stages of a totalitarian regime. Are enough people aware that it is every generation's duty to shape their own destiny and to shape a society that future generations will enjoy living in, will want to be part of? It's actually every generation's duty to ensure that their historical period of which they were part of isn't shamed by historians, but is indeed looked upon as a period of of fortitude, of strength, of good societal values. So what we need to remember, I would suggest, that in this period in which we're living, these revolutionary times, and I don't use the word revolution lightly, it may conjure up images of decapitated heads and, you know, blood gushing down the street. It's not that type of revolution, but it's a revolution nonetheless, and it's one that's been decided for us without much of our knowledge or input or awareness, while we've been distracted. So what we must do is respond with a counter-revolution, a peaceful counter-revolution, which is indeed what is happening. Is it happening on a large enough scale? Difficult to say until the next test comes. The next test will, well, there's something that's happening right now. The childhood vaccinations. I wish I could give you my opinion on that, but you can probably guess. But the next really big test will be lockdown, the next lockdown. That's when we'll be able to better judge how this counter-revolution is going to pan out. Difficult to say right now. What I will say is that awareness is growing very, very fast. But awareness is one thing and action is a completely different thing. But back to what I was saying, it's so easy, and I think that our massively distracted generation and dumbed down generation, ignorant generation and selfish generation, narcissistic generation. I'm not tarring everyone with the same brush, but obviously it's difficult to comment on society without generalising. So they are the themes which have pervaded our age for the last 20, 30, 40 years. I think possibly many people have made the mistake, and this included me as well until a few years ago, made the mistake of not realising that responsibility, not having that perspective and that awareness that we are indeed living through history, and that we should be the ones who shape our own history, and that it should not be left for others, whether so-called experts or people in government, big non-governmental organisations, whoever it may be, to shape it for us. So I wanted to get your thoughts on this, really. As I say, I've spent quite a few years like marvelling really at the fact that how lucky that we have been, certainly for the first 30 odd years of my life. But because we were so distracted and because we were so consumed by consumerism, commercialism and mass entertainment, we've forgotten the bigger picture. We've not seen the bigger picture. And as I say, I've kind of spent some time in the last few years realising that and seeing or sensing danger, sense that society's not in a good place. And of course, here we are now. So this video really is about, let's look at the positives. What a time to be alive with regard to the opportunity we have to shape our society. A society that is in revolution is one whereby its citizens, actually, it may not feel like it right now, but we do. We have more of a say. than most generations past who didn't live through who lived through historical, you know, historical epochs, but not through revolutionary times such as we are now. We, the ones who want to be fearless, and the ones who recognise that there is a responsibility and it is incumbent on us to do so, we have more of an opportunity than most generations to shape positively what's to come. So no matter how dark things get, no matter how tough things are, this is a responsibility that lies with us. And another way of looking at it is, how many of us, as I say, have had access to the mass entertainment, to all the products and services to make our lives more easy and more convenient, the cheap travel, you know, the home ownership, the mod cons, all of the gadgets, everything that makes life not better, as we found out, but easier and comfortable. Even if those days never ever return, do we want them to return actually? Do we want life to be comfortable? I don't think we do. We want life to be abundant, to be full of opportunities, but surely that comes, in order to have that, comes with a sense of responsibility. So let's remember, we have been lucky enough to experience all of that. We've been, up until the last couple of years, the luckiest generation that's ever lived, and we've not realised it. So now it is dependent on us, is incumbent on us to right many wrongs, to be, to choose, to play a part, to have a stake, to be a voice. And whether we're voicing concerns, whether we're voicing opinion, and I mean proper opinion, thought through opinion, whether we're imprinting our values, whatever our values are, on our lives, we need to do all of those things. And remember that if we want this badly enough, if we want to create a better world, one that's not like what we had 2 years ago, I don't think that can come back, but one that's better, less structured, less comfortable, less bureaucratic, but more opportunities, more community based, more value driven, and with the celebration of really, really important values that I believe any society should hold dear. Freedom and truth. If we want that badly enough, it's there for the taking. So let's remember, let's see, let's acknowledge the historical precedents. Let's acknowledge that maybe many of us, some won't have been. I was, to a large degree. We were distracted, didn't take enough responsibility, didn't see the bigger picture. Well, now if we can, that's a huge responsibility and an exciting time to be alive. Challenge of our lives. We have the opportunity to actually be judged well by history if we choose to. So that's my video for today. Please let me know what you think. Leave me a comment below and tell me what is your understanding of history. And will history, what do we need to do now in order for history ultimately to reflect well on us? And are enough people conscious of the themes that I've talked about? All right, I'll speak to you all soon. Bye bye.